as it is, we all have, we're all mere mortals, and someday we'll have to answer the calling of God. And God has called him home. He lived a relatively very good life, and he passed on at the ripe age of, not so ripe. I lost my dad at 80, so I wish he lived longer, but I've stopped calling 80, 81 the ripe age. We wanted injury time, at least 90 football minutes. 90.
Well, I know there are different people
in good health.
In good health,
yes.
In good health, which is very paramount, very key. But I mean, you've highlighted some of the goods and some of the things that the president will be remembered for. Also, there are some that he will equally be remembered for, which many have said made the not so good list. You recall during the NSAS period, a lot of Nigerians expected the president to step up and address the issues, of course, speak to Nigerians and speak sparingly without holding back, ensuring that he was able to call out some of the loose cannons that were indeed affecting the lives of the privileged and certain Nigerians and the underprivileged as well.
And and also use it as a starting point to overhaul the Nigerian police force.
Exactly.
Holistic reforms.
Exactly. And you did say something. He came with a lot of, there was a lot of opium, in terms of opium and hope. Not forgetting too, there was a clarity of sense from Nigerians when he was indeed made president. The thoughts there was that this is someone who is known as a no-nonsense man. He was known as such. And many thought that his second coming as a Democrat will indeed pave the way for complete cleansing of the Nigerian political space, which was riddled with a lot of irregularities and not forgetting to impunity.
Corruption.
But then again, that didn't happen, because whether you like it or not, Nigerians would go back and pull up history and show that there were a lot of corrupt practices with, like I said, fashioned with a lot of impunity that continued to bedevil the economic system. And then again, there was also no clear cut with economic focus.
We're neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there.
The subsidy regime was still on.
Exactly, even though there were mentions. What the footage you have here is presumably the last footage of the president, what you see on the screen before he was flown to London. We do here, but let's take a look, and as we talk about this, let's watch. You know, one sad thing about life is you just don't know when it's going to happen. That footage was said to be the last footage of the president, where he was visited by the former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and other members of the political parties, where we've seen them move into the ADC. Hands were, exchanged in terms of shaking hands and speaking and going to see him again. But then again, if they had mentioned to any of them, including his former minister, Issa Patami, that this would be the last time that they would have a handshake with the former president, no one would have agreed. But that's exactly the last video. But someone else is reacting to the late president's demise, and we're talking about also a former military president
turned
Democrat as well. We could say he's one of those who equally paved the way for many others to believe that, listen, Nigeria may have had its own problems, but then again, we who were there back then as military officers, we can also be part of the democratic process. And we're talking about former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Well, he also dropped his thoughts concerning the death of the late President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. We'll try as much as possible to bring that video to you so you could hear what he had to say.
About Muhammadu, that he tried his best. My prayer is that God will forgive him his of his inadequacies and accept him into his kingdom. It's a loss to the nation, because at a time like this, we need the totality of the experience and what I may call statesmanship of all those who have had the opportunity to run the affairs of this country in the past to get us out of the situation we are in. He will be sorely missed, and may his soul rest in perfect peace.
Very sobering reflection there from former head of state and President Olusegun Obasanjo. You know, when they're talking about the positives of the Buhari administration, a lot of people forget to mention his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and looking at NCDC, that aspect of preventing the virus from spreading, because I mean, it was quite unprecedented. We'd never experienced anything like that in history, and the whole world shut down for that period. And Nigeria's response was quite swift, you know, shutting our borders, quarantining. The NCDC did a good job. So, I mean, people will give him kudos for his handling of that. But like the former president said, we're here for only some time, and may God forgive him for his inadequacies. We have a correspondent in Katsina State who will be monitoring events there. I'm sure from today, his mortal remains is expected to return. And according to Muslim rites, he will be interred mostly in Daura, most likely going to be in Daura. And we're expecting a flurry of activities, and dignitaries will be flying into Katsina State today to pay their tribute and homage to the Buhari family. But let's see if we have some reactions on social media on the passing of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. Yes, this is a message from the current president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He says, "It's with profound sorrow and heavy heart that I received the news of the passing of His Excellency Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired GCFR, my predecessor, who departed this life today, Sunday, July 13, at a hospital in the United Kingdom. President Buhari was, to the very core, a patriot, a soldier, a statesman. His legacy of service and sacrifice endures. He served Nigeria with unwavering dedication, first as military leader from January 1984 to August 1985, and later as a democratically elected president from 2015 to 2023. Duty, honor, and deep commitment to the unity and progress of our nation defined his life. He stood firm through the most turbulent times, leading with quiet strength, profound integrity." Yes, we also have a tweet from his vice president. Yes, he says, "Delakwa and I received with profound sadness the news of the passing of His Excellency, former President Muhammadu Buhari, this afternoon. In the moments that followed, we spoke with Her Excellency Aisha Buhari and their son Yusuf Buhari to express our heartfelt condolences and to share in the deep grief of their beloved family, one with whom we had the honor of serving our nation for 8 memorable years. Nigeria's lost a true patriot, a man whose life was sparked by unyielding devotion to the nation he loved. President Buhari's legacy will endure as a testament to the nobility of his public service, defined by honesty, discipline, and unwavering commitment to the public good. We pray that Almighty God will grant comfort and strength to the family and to all who mourn his passing. May his memory always be blessed." That's from his vice president.
That's right. We also have a former president as well. Good luck, Ebele Jonathan. It is with a heavy heart and profound sense of national loss that I received the news of the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died at the age of 82. President Buhari was a notable leader, patriot, and elder statesman who served our beloved nation as both a military head of state and president to the best of his abilities. He goes ahead to talk about what he remembers about the former president. And then at the end of his statements there on X, he says, may Allah forgive his shortcomings, accept his good deeds, and grant him Jannatul Firdaus. Presidential candidate Peter Obi also is on the list. Well, he says, I have just received a very sad news on the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari in London. His death provides a solemn moment, not just for his family and close associates, but for our nation as a whole. President Buhari has always comported himself in a dignified manner as a leader. To his wife, children, extended family, and to Nigerians, I extend my deepest condolences. May Almighty Allah, most gracious and most merciful, forgive President Buhari's shortcomings, reward his efforts in service to the nation, and grant him Jannatul Firdaus. And he says, Ameen. That's coming from the presidential candidate Peter Obi. And of course, we have more coming from Atiku Abubakar, where he also says he's deeply saddened by the news of the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, a man whose life was defined by unflinching patriotism, stoic discipline, and a lifelong commitment to the sovereignty and unity of our great nation. He goes ahead to say that his death is not just a loss to his immediate family and the people of Daura, it is a profound national tragedy. Nigeria's lost a statesman who bore the burdens of leadership in both turbulent and triumphant times, and his legacy will be remembered for generations to come. And as usual, he ends it there. But it's we do have more messages, pouring in, more condolences, especially reaching out from the politicians and those who equally served in the same 8 long years of his presidential ambition, talking about also carrying out his role as Nigeria's president. But that's not all. One of the things we've also seen in the course of this is the fact that his close friend as well equally died yesterday. And it seemed like it was just hours apart. And that's the picture that you see there.
Adetona, the Awujale of Ijebu land. Exactly.
Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona, he passed away yesterday. The Ogun State government confirmed the report. Now, Oba Adetona, who ascended the throne in 1960, is one of Nigeria's longest reigning traditional rulers and a highly respected voice among Yoruba monarchs and across the country. And he equally passed away yesterday. They were both known to be, very close associates. And it's quite sad that these two persons would go on the same day. But that's, like we say, that's what life is.
It's life.
Yeah, that's life. But there's also a video that was trending yesterday. The video did show the human side of the former President Muhammadu Buhari. And when we say the human side, I would want to say yes. We may have known him for words such as in the other room, you recall, when he said his wife belongs to the other room, she has nothing.
Nigerian youths.
And I do recall, because I remember while we were on Breakfast's show, that's the Breakfast Central show, what we have here now, I do recall some videos of him, laughing, where he would laugh his heart out. He always laughed his heart out at a certain point. But there's this video where he said that he would like to apologize.
And I guess we should listen to that.
Let's take a look at the video.
Whoever thought that there has been some form of injustice on him, we are all humans. There is no doubt I hurt some people, and I wish they would pardon me. And those that think that I've hurt them so much, please pardon me. I thank you very much.
Him, and we're all humans at the end of the day, because if you read some of the comments on social media, they're not very kind. And I'm not going to police people for expressing their views. They have their agency to mourn however they want to express their views. But we can only pass comments and say, respect the dead. These things are not. We're humans. We're not infallible. and things like that. But they have all the right to express themselves.
Yeah.
But looking at his softer life, and it was nice that his vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, brought out a few videos, and we could reminisce on, his past. Professor Osinbajo wanted to sue some people for libel. They had published things that were damaging to him, and he just wanted to bring it to the notice of his principal that, look, I'm going to court, that this is really bad. He was angry. And then President Buhari told him that you want to sue them, that you need to see what is written about me. That they printed a wedding invitation card that I'm getting married at the National Mosque this Friday. And he said on that Friday, so many people showed up thinking, there's a wedding. And just laugh off these things. And then there was one where he was in an interview, and he was in his presidential jet just reading the newspaper.
Oh, I think I remember that one.
And he saw this cartoon.
Yes.
That they were complaining about his frequent travels abroad. And he said, what do you expect when we have a Fulani man as president? So he was.
I think he had a bit of comic
humor
inside of him, whether we like it or not. We had a bit of comic inside of him. He was, at a certain point, like I said, the last video we just saw, I think that statement should be a statement that Nigerians should take home, which should go with, where he said he knows that he may have hurt a lot of people, but all he just wants to say is he's sorry. In other words, he was simply saying, just forgive me if I've done wrong to anybody. And asking for pardon is one thing we hardly see from a Nigerian politician. They never say that. But in line with all what we have said, I mean, we've looked at the beautiful side of the former president. We've also looked at the tough side. I want to agree that his administration was one of the toughest ever, because there was COVID-19, SARS,
Russia-Ukraine.
Russia-Ukraine. Was it Russia-Ukraine? Yes. Russia-Ukraine war. There was also there were many other issues that bedeviled that period, where especially the COVID-19. I beg to say that how we got through it, of course, we cannot just say we give kudos to the late former president. Of course, we also give kudos to every single person within his administration, the entire team.
And different state executives.
Absolutely. But we must agree that it wasn't an easy ride for him, especially also battling with ill health.
Because he traveled out of the country frequently.
We saw him travel more, so much.
It was a very tough presidency.
So it wasn't really easy. I would say it was a very tough administration for the president. However, if we decide to now flip the page and look at the other side, I would like to say that this is a reminder to every single politician out there that life is fickle. Life is not constant. What we've seen out there from social media, unfortunately, we can't bring the other side of social media. We feel it's not
the timing.
It's not the time to do that. You may be angry. You have your growls. You have your differences. But sometimes you might want to say it in a way that, of course, also shows that, okay, you are a bit civil in a way. But what we want to say here is, whoever you are, death doesn't care. Death is not a respecter
of status,
designation, position,
wealth,
whatever you do. But you will be remembered for the things that you did.
You account for your time. And you can't tell people what to say once you're gone. So
that's it.
In order to prevent people from saying negative things about you, live an exemplary life while you're here. Make that difference.
Like they say, make it count.
Make it count.
And that's exactly what we've seen. Another issue apart from that, which is a reminder to all politicians, is that the president, just like his predecessor, late former president Musa Yar'Adua, also died outside the shores of a country that they both ruled and governed.
Says a lot.
In quotes, that says a lot. You would expect that a country with its wealth, a country that has immense and blessed natural resources, would be able to cater.
And people.
Yes. will be able to cater not just to its citizens, but of course ensure that its wealth is being used to build infrastructural developments that will be able to care also for the president. But it hasn't been that.
Even
first class citizens,
yes,
and even
first class medical
yeah.
facilities for the president. I remember Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. He just turned 100 a few days ago. He was Malaysia's former prime minister twice, and in his book, Doctor on Call, he's a medical doctor. There was a time he had to go for gastric bypass operation, and they said they were going to fly him to the United States. He said no, that this is going to have a negative effect on confidence of the people in Malaysian health system. So he decided to have that operation in Malaysia, and it was successful. He just turned 100 a few days ago as a mark of confidence and a statement that...
Can we say the same here in Nigeria?
Unfortunately, no. Yeah.
So I think the leaders, wherever they are this morning, while there's a Federal Executive Council meeting, of course, to look at how they'll be able to eulogize the former president, it's also a good time for the leaders to sit down and have some form of rethink. Sadly, many have said it will never happen, but that's the power of what death can do. It can bring reality to you and let you know that...
a hard reset.
Hard reset.
A reminder that
yes,
we're only here for a limited time.
2 presidents, and we're not going to add some politicians, have died outside the shores of a country that they rule. And if you're going to look at, I was looking at the years apart from when former President Musa Yar'Adua died down to what we just saw yesterday. Are you going to say it's enough time?
So I've
been able
to... first-class hospitals in Nigeria. It's the confidence and the belief that you can only get the best medical attention outside the shores of this country. Some people will debate this, but I mean, there are people that come into Nigeria for certain operations from other climes and that, but it's a confidence in the system that, look, I can stay here and get the best medical attention. Maybe there are a few, but I'm sure there
I agree with you partially that there are a few, but I'm going to put it in a percentage. I would say there are 40%. I would say the remaining 60.
Less.
It's less. Because if you have a system that is built and grounded on proper medical provisions, especially for the people, it takes nothing for even the leaders to say, listen, we've provided it. You can, and remember, seeing is believing. And I think seeing is believing in the sense that it trickles down to every single citizen that can have access to medical care.
But on the flip side of things, in fairness, I mean, he's an old man. He's been going for a constant checkup.
Yeah.
There's a medical history. He has a certain doctors, and you don't expect it to change it overnight. Maybe that hospitals and the doctors have his medical record from when he was president or before president. So it will be hard to, and you want to go to even little things like your car wash. You want to go to where you're familiar with. And I guess that's why he had to return to London.
Like I said, I
all said and done, I mean, he's not here anymore, and may God grant his family the fortitude to bear the loss. We mourn with them, and may God grant him eternal rest.
Anyway, as we progress on the program today, we would also be talking to our correspondent who will be live in very close to the former president's area, and we'll get to find out what the people are saying. And most importantly, we'll also have guests join us to speak more about his legacies and his life. Away from that, which we're going to return to, let's also highlight the fact that the local, the LGA elections,
local government elections in Lagos State,
in Lagos
commercial
State,
capital,
held over the weekend. We do not know what to term or call it, but many have said that it was completely a no election day. It looked completely like it was a day of mourning. News Central, you know what we do as usual. We were able to cover all grounds and spoke to every single person. And the reactions, the responses that we got, especially from our correspondents who will equally be joining us later on in the course of the show. I was nothing to write him about Gbenga. You had people saying, we'd rather play football than do what? Than vote. And
then later, they complain about bad governance. The local government is one of the most important, if not the most important. Elections in Nigeria. It's the closest arm of government to the people. And to see the lackadaisical attitude of a lot of Nigerians towards this election is quite sad. And there might be two reasons for it. Knowing, number one, a lot of people, and looking at the pattern around the country and the way local government elections are conducted, the people have lost hope in any form of fairness. So they'll rather not bother participating since it seems the results always favor the ruling party in that state. So it's almost like an exercise in futility. And I guess that's why they've decided to stay at home. And the other reason is we don't have so many information about these elections holding. People don't even know the candidates or their plans. That's why we see things. It's not just a Lagos problem. It's countrywide.
There were many issues, Gbenga. The issues were many. If we're going to highlight them, it's going to take us a long time, but it's something we're going to do this week. We have to break it down. And this, many have said, is a threat to Nigeria's democratic setting, Nigeria's democracy. How do we mean? There were issues of not having complete political parties on the ballot. There were issues of people not finding, where they were registered to vote. They were told to later move to another place, move to another area.
It was a mess.
Don't forget too that we did have guests prior to the elections, and they said the same thing. It was like they preempted or they predicted what was going to happen. They said, listen, during the election day, you're going to see what was going to happen. But then again, we have a former deputy governor who was equally there, and she had her own thoughts, and this is what she said.
The observation is that obviously there is plans to rig this election. Okay. Because people have not been able to vote in their units. When you get to your unit, they said they've given them a list of names. I have been to my own unit. My name is not there. There are units which are supposed to be in front of Eko Hotel. They have brought them here to Ajose Adeogun. So it shows, and many people are not able to vote because they have, in fact, completely disrupted all the polling units. I am calling for the cancellation of this election because there's a clear effort to rig the election in favor of one party. Because otherwise, why is it that people are not able to vote in their units? Why is it that units have been disrupted?
That's the former deputy governor of Lagos State, Senator Makerele there, speaking. And she wasn't the only one who had that issue. It was everywhere.
A lot of people. And it's like I said, this problem is not unique to Lagos, but it doesn't mean it should be tolerated. It was a sham of an election, and a lot of people thought, going by what Lagos terms itself to be, center of excellence, that at least there will be some level of transparency, and the elections come with their own issues, but this was it was almost a foregone conclusion. And there was nothing democratic about this. But there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. As we speak, the House of Representatives, they're looking at a bill that has killed the second reading to create another electoral commission to conduct local government elections nationwide. So we won't have this state independent. So they are only independent in name. So it will be uniform, it would have a federal look, and then they will conduct this local government elections with the full, almost like INEC. And I guess when that happens, it will restore a lot of confidence and transparency.
And I think as we wrap this
up, if that bill passes into law.
Anyway, as we wrap things up, let's. Someone asked a question, and we just want to clear the answer. We just want to put the answer out there. For the fact that there was voter apathy and people did not come out to vote, doesn't it mean that the politicians have gained the upper hand and they will continue to win?
That's it.
The answer is actually no. What it simply does, just to answer, is that it puts distrust and it puts the current democracy that we are running, that we have now, in a place where it's completely unsafe. Because what that means is when people don't believe and trust in it, it means that they would seek alternative, and that would push them to go to the extra limit at a certain time and a certain point.
So the more reason why they should come out.
So it's dicey.
And
it's dicey. We've seen this happen in other countries. But then again,
elections.